It was the perfect airplane for that theater and that job and close air support. We could get so close that what they call danger close now would have been far away from us. We've put ordnance down because we had the type of ordnance that you could do it with 20, 30 feet from survivors or troops on the ground, because we were slow and we could go down low. And when I mean low, some of the stuff we could drop out at 50 feet to 100 feet off the ground if there were troops in contact. It was a Navy airplane. You know, they built it for World War II. Never got into service in World War II. Quite a bit in Korea. We took them over in the Air Force during the 60s from the Navy, and used it primarily for close air support of American and Vietnamese troops, and Laotians also, I might add that. It was an interesting airplane to fly because it's a tail dragger, and that's different than any of these airplanes that have a training wheel in the front of them. It took an awful lot of rudder. The prop was 13 feet long, and you push that thing up full, and it's just like a gyro, wants to pull you way off to the left. So on takeoff, the first thing you did after pushing the throttle up, as you're pushing the throttle up, is full right rudder. If you didn't do that, you were going to go off the left side of the runway. Interesting to fly. We did almost everything at 140 knots. It wouldn't go any faster than that unless you were in a dive. With the way we had them loaded up especially. The joke was you could put a kitchen sink under our wing and have us drop it off. Lots of, as I was saying, soft ordnance, which we could put down close to troops, or smoke type ordnance so that we could mark targets for other people to hit. I wouldn't trade it for any other mission that was over there. Even in the depths of depression of what we were doing in Vietnam, we had a mission, and we knew what that mission was. The fact that other people were over there getting shot down, we were there to pick them up, and we were there for the ground troops if they got into trouble. And there were still ground troops even after the invasion, American ground troops, I mean. So we never had a problem with our own motivation. I know there were a lot of guys that did, and they had good reason for it, because we were misspent in all kinds of ways by Washington and what they did and didn't allow us to do, or didn't want us to do. The A-10 was the replacement for the A-1 for all practical purposes, and I got to fly it also. I was one of the first pilots to fly it. Woody Bergeron and I were in the same class at Davis-Monthan, going to Myrtle Beach in the A-10. Roger Youngblood, who you've probably already met, and I and a couple of other people wrote the search and rescue tactics for the A-10 based on the A-1. A-10 was a much easier airplane to fly. Not that the A-1 was hard, it was just different. And you get too low, too slow, and you're going to run into a mountain. The same thing was true of the A-10. We were told, if you're asked, it doesn't have enough excess thrust. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron. We trained in it very low to the ground, and we lost some people in control flight into terrain accidents where at 100 feet they just got a little low. It was 50-foot wingspan. You turned that thing up on its side. If you were a little bit lower than you thought you were, you could run into the ground. We had to develop a little bit different tactic because the A-10 actually did fly faster than the Jollies. In the A-1 we flew at the same speed as the Jollies, so we could just fly alongside of them for the most part. If we wanted to go a little faster, we could still do a daisy chain around them. But it was, for that theater, absolutely perfect.